Chapter 1. The Quiet Girl in a Loud World. The first thing Anna noticed every morning was the noise. It wasn't the kind of noise that lived in the physical world. It wasn't the distant rumble of the city waking up, the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, or the rhythmic chirping of birds outside her window. No, this was a heavy, tectonic noise that lived exclusively behind her eyes. It was the sound of 1,000 not-yets and what-ifs crashing into one another the moment her consciousness flickered to life. Her phone alarm buzzed at 6:30 a.m., a sharp, synthetic tone that felt like a needle pricking her skin. Anna didn't reach for it immediately. She lay flat on her back, staring at the ceiling, watching the early morning light filter through the thin curtains. She felt like an island. Static. While the rest of the world was an ocean in motion, she was a rock being slowly eroded by the tide. When she finally picked up her phone, the blue light felt blinding. Her thumb moved with a practiced, mechanical numbness. Swipe. Scroll. Swipe. There was the girl from her high school chemistry class, smiling in front of a glass building, so excited to start my journey as a lead analyst. Dreams do come true. Swipe. There was a group of people she used to be friendly with, huddled at a brunch table. Finally found my people. Grateful hearts only. Anna closed the app with a sharp tap. The grateful heart felt like a stone in her own chest. She wasn't unhappy for them, not exactly, but their joy served as a high-definition mirror to her own stagnation. She existed in a careful, controlled orbit. No risks. She had convinced herself long ago that standing perfectly still was the only way to avoid the bruising that came with moving forward. Good for them, she whispered. Her voice sounded thin, like paper tearing. She dragged herself out of bed. The routine was her armor, but today the armor felt heavy. 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Online certification courses. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Freelance data entry work. 5 p.m. onwards, the performance of being fine. When she walked into the kitchen, the smell of cardamom tea greeted her, but so did the weight of her mother's gaze. Her mother was stirring a pot on the stove, her movements efficient and disciplined. You woke up early today, her mother said, not looking up. Good. Discipline is the only thing that separates the successful from the dreamers, Anna. You have to keep the momentum. From the hallway, her aunt's voice drifted in sharp and rhythmic, like a ticking clock. She was already armed with updates about people Anna barely remembered. Did you hear about Kiara's daughter? Her aunt asked, leaning against the counter. Already moved abroad. Fully funded scholarship. And your cousin? He's earning more than your uncle now. He bought a car, a silver one. She looked at Anna, her eyes narrowing. Any updates from those interviews? You shouldn't stay cooped up, Beta. Networking is everything. Opportunities don't knock on the doors of girls who sit in dark rooms. The silence in the room stretched, suffocating and hot. Anna felt the familiar prickle of panic, the noise in her head rising to a roar. She couldn't tell them she hadn't even applied. She couldn't tell them she was paralyzed. This was where the performance began. Anna didn't look down. Instead, she reached for her laptop on the kitchen table and flipped it open. She navigated past her empty inbox to a complex, color-coded spreadsheet from an old university project, something that looked dense, professional, and vital. Actually, Anna said, her voice steadying as she pointed to a row of data, I'm just finishing a deep dive analysis for a potential contract. It's a high-level data strategy role. I'm in the final stages of the technical review, so I've had to stay focused. Her aunt leaned in, squinting at the flickering numbers. She didn't understand what she was looking at, but the complexity was enough to silence her. Oh, the aunt murmured, her sharp expression softening into something resembling reluctant respect. Well, make sure they pay you what you're worth then. I will, Anna lied, her heart hammering against her ribs. She stared at the screen until the words blurred. She had successfully protected her peace for another morning, but as she took a sip of the bitter tea, she realized the lie was just another brick in the wall she was building around herself. She was safe, yes, but she was also more alone than ever. Chapter 2. When everyone else seems ahead. By 10:30 a.m., Anna stood before the heavy oak doors of the Velvet Quill. Situated in the heart of the Almswood district, the workspace was a converted historical library that smelled of old parchment and expensive espresso. Above the entrance hung a wrought iron nameplate, the words "The Velvet Quill" etched in elegant, gold-leaf calligraphy that glinted sharply in the pale morning sun. It was a place where the city's most ambitious gathered to trade ideas and hustle. Anna took her usual seat in the far corner. Her laptop acted as a shield. To her right sat a guy she'd noticed before, Leo, who always wore heavy noise-canceling headphones and seemed to exist in a world made entirely of code. He didn't look up, which Anna appreciated. He was part of the furniture she felt safe with. She felt a presence to her left. A shadow fell across her keyboard. "Hey, is this seat taken?" Anna looked up. A girl in a bright yellow sweater stood there, clutching a tablet. "I'm Maya. I just joined last week. Are you a regular?" "Sometimes," Anna said, her tone clipped, her eyes already darting back to her screen. She felt Maya's smile dim, a small flicker of light extinguished by her coldness, but the girl just sat down quietly. Anna felt a pang of guilt, but the noise in her head reminded her, closeness is a weapon. Keep the wall up. The ghost of a chance. The wall felt sturdier that evening back at home until her phone buzzed. It was a text from her cousin, Sophia. "Hey, housewarming tonight at my new place, number 22 Silver Oak Lane. Just some friends and a few people from my new firm. You should come, Anna. It's a great chance to meet some recruiters casually." Anna stared at the address. Silver Oak Lane. A place for people who had made it. She drafted a yes 3 times, then deleted them all. The noise was a roar now. What if you have nothing to say? What if they realize you're a fraud? "So sorry, Sophia. Feeling under the weather. Have a great time." The price of safety. 2 days later, the air at the Velvet Quill felt colder. Anna was scrolling through her professional feed when a photo stopped her heart. It was a post from a guy she'd gone to college with. He was grinning, standing in a familiar-looking modern kitchen, Sophia's kitchen. He was holding a business card for Sterling Heights, the very firm Anna had been dreaming of. The caption read, "Talk about timing. Went for the housewarming, left with a junior analyst offer. A 5-minute chat by the snack table can change everything. Networking is key." The words hit Anna like a physical blow. Silver Oak Lane. Sophia's party. The recruiters Sophia mentioned weren't just random people, they were the very doors Anna had been trying to knock on from behind a computer screen for months. Fear hadn't just kept her safe on Friday night. It had locked a door she didn't even know was there. She looked across the room. Maya was laughing with Leo now, showing him something on her tablet. Leo had his headphones around his neck, actually smiling. They looked light. They looked like they belonged to the world, while Anna was just a ghost haunting the corners of it. She whispered the question that finally had an answer. "Am I protecting myself, or am I just punishing myself?" The answer was in the silence of her room. The answer was in the job she didn't had. Chapter 3, Almost, but not enough. The invitation had come on a Tuesday, a small yellow post-it note that Maya had slid across the mahogany table at the Velvet Quill. Tea? 5 p.m. The amber leaf. No pressure, just caffeine. Anna had kept that note. She hadn't thrown it away, nor had she acted on it immediately. Instead, she had tucked it into the back of her clear phone case, facing inward. It was a hidden weight, a secret anchor she carried for 3 long months. During those 12 weeks, the seasons began to turn. The crisp air of the Almswood district grew biting, and the gold-leaf calligraphy of the workspace's sign began to catch the frost of early winter. In that time, Anna had practiced the art of leaning in without falling over. The silence between them had changed. It was no longer a wall, but a shared space. Anna remembered the Tuesday it rained so hard the roof of the quill rattled. Leo had wordlessly slid a spare noise-canceling earbud her way so she could finish her data entry in peace. She remembered the day her hands wouldn't stop shaking after a harsh email from a client. Maya had disappeared for 10 minutes, only to return and drop a bar of sea salt dark chocolate on her keyboard without saying a word. They had traded snacks, complained about the erratic Wi-Fi, and shared silent smiles over the absurdity of the hustle culture surrounding them. Anna had found a rhythm with Leo, too. He was the steady, low-frequency hum to Maya's bright melody. He was a safe harbor, a man of few words who seemed to value the silence as much as she did. But 3 months of almost wasn't enough. The wall was still there, it was just decorated now. Finally, on a Tuesday that felt identical to the one 3 months prior, Anna felt the weight of the silence becoming unbearable. She reached for her phone, popped the corner of the case, and pulled out the yellow post-it note, now slightly creased and faded at the edges. She leaned over and slid the note right on. The note right on top of the design sketches Maya was working on. Maya froze. She looked down at the yellow square, then up at Anna, her eyes widening. She recognized the handwriting from 100 days ago. The fact that Anna had saved it spoke louder than any apology. Maya's face broke into the softest smile Anna had ever seen. "I think the kettle is calling," she whispered. The amber leaf. At 5 p.m., they stepped into the amber leaf. The air was thick with the scent of dried hibiscus and toasted cinnamon. The walls were a deep, comforting ochre, lit by Edison bulbs that cast a warm glow over mismatched velvet armchairs. "You came." Maya beamed. "I half expected that note to have turned to dust." Anna managed a small, genuine smile. "I almost let it. But it felt too heavy to keep in my pocket today." They ordered a pot of oolong. As the steam rose between them, curling in the amber light, the conversation started light. Maya talked about her struggle with a freelance graphic design project, laughing at her own mistakes. Her vulnerability was disarming. It was like she was handing Anna a map of her own flaws and saying, "It's okay to be lost." "Can I ask you something personal, Anna?" Maya's tone shifted, becoming softer, more weighted. "We've been sitting next to each other for 3 months. We know each other's coffee orders and keyboard preferences. But you're still braced. Like you're waiting for the floor to drop out from under you." "Why?" Anna's fingers tightened around the delicate porcelain of her teacup. The 3 months of friendship felt like a fragile bridge she was finally ready to cross. "I used to have a best friend," Anna began, her voice barely a whisper. "Sana." The name felt like glass in her mouth. "We were inseparable. I thought she was my mirror. I told her everything. The things I was ashamed of, the way my parents fought, the fact that I cried when I felt overwhelmed. I trusted her with the parts of me that weren't for public view." Anna looked out the window, her eyes unfocused, traveling back her last high school year. "I was walking back to the classroom to grab my forgotten scarf. I heard laughter coming from around the corner, Sana's laughter. But she was reading my messages aloud to a group of girls. My private, panicked emails about failing a course. She was doing voices, Maya. She was mocking the way I sounded when I was scared. She turned my soul into a stand-up routine." Anna's voice trembled. "I watched through the crack in the door as she showed them a photo I'd sent her of me crying. They were all laughing. And when I confronted her, she said, 'Anna, you're too sensitive. It was just a joke.'" The silence that followed in the amber leaf was heavy, but it was shared. "I didn't just lose a friend," Anna said, meeting Maya's eyes. "I learned that closeness is just a weapon you give to someone else to use against you." Maya reached across the table, her expression one of fierce empathy. "That wasn't your sensitivity, Anna. That was her cruelty. You weren't too much. She was too little to handle the trust you gave her." The shattering of the bridge. The following Thursday, the 3 months of progress were put to the ultimate test. Anna arrived at the quill, her heart lighter than it had been in years. But Maya's seat was empty. By noon, a text arrived. "Hey. I'm so sorry, but I can't make it today or tomorrow. Something's come up. I'll explain later." The words "something's come up" hit Anna like a physical strike. It was the exact phrase Sana used to use before she'd go silent for weeks. The old noise returned with a vengeance. "She's bored of you. You're a liability." Leo noticed Anna's face go pale. He pulled his headphones down. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Anna snapped. "People just have a habit of disappearing once they get what they want." Leo frowned. "If you're talking about Maya, she's having a really rough time right now. Give her the benefit of the doubt." I've given enough doubt to last a lifetime, Anna muttered, slamming her laptop shut. She walked out past the gold leaf sign, feeling the 3 months of warmth freeze over in an instant. She was back in her controlled world. And it was the loneliest place on earth. Chapter 4. The truth she was never meant to hear. The silence that followed Maya's text message didn't last an afternoon. It lasted a full, grueling week. For 7 days, Anna became a master of present absence. She still showed up to the velvet quill, sitting in her usual mahogany chair, but the warmth she had cultivated over the last 3 months had been sucked out of the air. When Maya finally returned on the 3rd day, her face pale and her eyes shadowed with a fatigue that went bone deep, Anna didn't look up. Anna practiced a cruel kind of discipline. When Maya offered a tentative "good morning," Anna merely nodded without removing her noise-canceling headphones. When Maya slid a small chocolate bar across the desk, a silent peace offering, Anna left it untouched until the end of the day, a discarded relic of a friendship she was currently dismantling. Every time she caught Maya looking at her with confused, hurt eyes, the noise in Anna's head felt less like a shield and more like a cage. She whispered to her reflection in the restroom mirror, a question that tasted like ash. Am I protecting myself, or am I just punishing myself? The silent anchor. By the 5th day, the tension at the table was thick enough to choke on. Leo, who usually lived behind his own wall of silence, finally reached his limit. He waited until Maya had gone to get water before he pulled his headphones down around his neck. "You're doing it again, Anna," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it had the weight of a gavel. Anna didn't look up from her screen. "I don't know what you're talking about, Leo." "Yes, you do. You've turned this desk into a war zone. Maya is drowning, and you're over here pretending she's invisible because she dared to have a life that didn't revolve around you for 2 days." She said something came up, Anna snapped, her voice trembling. "That's how it starts. That's the script. I know how people work, Leo. They use you until they find something better." Leo didn't know about Sanaa. He didn't know about the messages read aloud or the mockery in the high school hallway. But he saw the fear. "I don't know what happened to you before you came to this workspace, Anna. I don't know who convinced you that everyone is an enemy in disguise. But I do know Maya. And she's acting out of survival, not malice. If you keep treating everyone like they're waiting to hurt you, you're going to end up in a room full of ghosts. Is that the life you want?" Anna opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. The noise in her head surged, then suddenly flatlined. "You start by showing up," Leo said, his voice softening but remaining steady. "Even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. Go find her, Anna. Before the wall you're building gets too high for even you to climb over." The discovery. As Anna sat there, the weight of Leo's words pressing into her, she reached down to grab her charger. Her fingers brushed against something plastic tucked under the edge of Maya's chair. She picked it up. It was a hospital visitor's badge, dated from the 2 days Maya had been missing. In the center, in bold, stamped ink, were the words, "ICU, immediate family only." A wave of nauseating guilt crashed over Anna. While she had been nursing her high school grudges, Maya had been sitting in a sterile hallway, watching someone fight for their life. The shift to the outside. As Maya gathered her things to leave the workspace early, Anna stood up. "Maya," Anna said. "Let's walk." They stepped out into the raw, gray afternoon of the Almswood district. The wind was whipping through the alleyways, carrying the scent of rain. Maya was walking with her head down, her shoulders hunched. She looked at the darkening sky and tried to force a small, shaky laugh. "This weather is miserable, right?" Maya said, her voice sounding forced and thin. "It makes me crave those ridiculously spicy noodles from the stall on the corner. The kind that make your eyes water so much you can't see your own problems. We should go sometime, when I'm less of a downer." Anna didn't laugh. She stopped walking and reached into her coat pocket. "I'm sorry," Anna said, her voice cutting through the wind. She pulled out the hospital card and held it toward Maya. "I should have asked before assuming. I found this under your chair." The light-hearted mask Maya was trying to wear shattered instantly. She froze, looking at the badge in Anna's hand, her face flushing with a mix of shame and exhaustion. "I didn't want you to see the mess, Anna," Maya whispered. "I didn't want to be a burden. I thought if I wasn't the fun Maya anymore, you'd realize I wasn't worth the trouble." "A burden?" Anna felt her own tears prickling. "I spent a week ignoring you because I was so busy protecting my own heart that I didn't even stop to wonder if yours was breaking. I turned your silence into my own rejection. I was punishing you for something you didn't even do." The wind gusted, rattling the bare branches of the parquet trees. "I assume everyone will eventually leave when they realize I'm not fun or easy," Maya admitted. "And I assume everyone will eventually hurt me," Anna replied. She thought of Savannah and the high school hallway, but for the first time, she looked at Maya. "I'm not leaving, Maya. Even if it's messy. Even if it's heavy. I'm staying." The bridge crossed. Maya looked at her for a long second, her eyes shimmering. Then, without warning, she leaned in and pulled Anna into a clumsy, rib-crushing hug. Anna stiffened for a heartbeat, the old instinct to retreat flaring up, but then she let out a breath she'd been holding since high school and hugged her back. She buried her face into the yellow wool of Maya's sweater, which smelled like hospital soap and stale coffee. Okay, Maya whispered into Anna's shoulder, pulling back just enough to wipe her eyes. "Don't get used to it. You're only getting the premium best friend treatment because I'm too cold to keep my arms to myself." "I thought it was the spicy noodles making your eyes water," Anna teased, her voice thick. "Shut up," Maya laughed, finally letting go. "It's definitely the noodles." They sat on a cold bench, watching the city lights flicker on. For the first time in years, the noise in Anna's head didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a heartbeat. Chapter 5. The Architecture of Second Chances. The 2 weeks leading up to the Almswood District Professional Showcase were a blur of caffeine, spreadsheets, and a brand of exhausted laughter Anna had never known. The far corner table at the Velvet Quill had transformed. It was no longer a fortress where Anna hid. It was a war room, littered with empty espresso cups, crumpled snack wrappers, and Maya's colorful design swatches. For the first time in her life, Anna wasn't a solo act. But she quickly realized that working in a team meant dealing with the personality tax. "Anna, if you use the font Times New Roman for this header, I am legally obligated to revoke our friendship," Maya said, leaning over Anna's shoulder with a look of mock horror. Anna rolled her eyes, a gesture she had learned from Maya. "It's a professional showcase, Maya. Not a circus poster." "It's an aesthetic tragedy is what it is," Maya countered, dramatically clutching her heart. She nudged Leo, who was deep into a line of code. "Leo, tell her. Tell her that serif fonts are for people who still use dial-up internet." Leo didn't even look up from his screen, but a small, mischievous smirk played on his lips. "I don't get involved in the font wars. I'm a back-end guy. As long as the data doesn't crash, she could write it in crayon for all I care." "See?" Anna said, pointing at the screen. "Logic." "Logic is boring," Maya teased, sticking her tongue out. "And Leo, don't act like you're above this. I saw you spending 20 minutes yesterday trying to find a mechanical keyboard that made the perfect clicking sound. You're just as picky as I am, just with noisier things." Leo finally pulled his headphones down. "It's about the tactile feedback, Maya. If the click isn't crisp, the code isn't clean. It's science." "It's nerd magic," Maya laughed. Anna found herself laughing along with them. It was a strange, buoyant feeling. For years, she had thought that being professional meant being cold and solitary. But here they were, Leo being a technical snob, Maya being a design dictator, and Anna being the one who kept them all on schedule. Okay, Anna said, holding up her hands. "Maya, pick a font that doesn't make you want to cry. Leo, stop judging my laptop's processing speed. We have 48 hours until the showcase, and my nervous system is currently held together by 3 lattes and a dream." "Don't worry," Leo said, his tone turning supportive. "If you freeze up on stage, Maya will just dance in the background to distract them. She's been practicing her success jig for 3 days. It's a valid networking strategy." Maya defended, throwing a crumpled post-it note at him. The town hall. The day of the showcase, the Almswood Town Hall was a hive of ambition. Anna stood at her booth, her nameplate Anna, lead data strategist, glowing under the chandeliers. Her hands were cold, but she felt a weight in her pocket, the golden keyboard keychain Leo had given her for tactile feedback. Halfway through the afternoon, a woman in a charcoal suit walked toward her. Anna's breath caught. It was the hiring manager from the prestigious firm at Silver Oak Lane. "I recognize you," the woman said, squinting at Anna's nameplate. "Anna, right? I remember your CV from months ago. Your technical skills were always top tier. Honestly, you were overqualified for the roles you were applying for, but back then you seemed hesitant. You were a ghost on paper." The woman leaned in, looking at the vibrant, bold presentation Anna had built with Maya's aesthetic, help and Leo's clean logic. "Today, you actually seem to believe your own data," the woman noted. "But I have to ask, why did you miss our recruitment mixer last quarter? We were looking for someone with your profile then." The old Anna would have stuttered. She would have felt the noise of her high school trauma drowning her out. But then, she looked toward the back of the hall. Near the entrance, she saw Maya making a V for victory and Leo giving a thumbs up that looked like a royal decree. Anna turned back to the recruiter, her voice clear. "I missed it because I was busy recruiting my board of directors," Anna said. "I wanted to make sure that when I finally walked through your door, I wasn't just bringing raw data. I was bringing a perspective built on more than just silence. May I show you the story behind these numbers?" For 20 minutes, Anna didn't just present. She performed. She was sharp, funny, and undeniable. When the woman finally took Anna's card, she held it like it was something valuable. "You're quite different from the other candidates," the woman said. "There's a lot of life in your data." "That," Anna said, glancing back at her friends, "is thanks to the personality tax I pay every day." After the recruiter walked away, Anna didn't look at her phone or her notes. She looked at her hands. They weren't shaking. She felt a weight lift, not the weight of the silence, but the weight of the almosts. She wasn't an island anymore. She was part of a map. Chapter 6. The Sound of a Heartbeat. The morning after the showcase was the quietest morning of Anna's life, but for the first time, the quiet didn't feel like a void. It felt like a clean slate. She woke up before her alarm. She walked into the kitchen, where her mother was drinking her usual morning tea and her aunt was already scrolling through her phone, likely looking for a new success story to use as a weapon. "You're glowing," her mother said, setting her cup down. "I haven't seen you look this present in a long time." "I got a call this morning, Mom," Anna said, her voice steady as she pulled out a chair. She looked directly at her aunt, who had paused her scrolling to listen. "The firm from Silver Oak Lane. They offered me the lead analyst position. I start in 2 weeks." The kitchen went silent. Her aunt's hand froze midair. For years, the aunt had used Silver Oak Lane as a mythical destination for people better than Anna. Now, the name hung in the air like a white flag. Lead analyst, her aunt finally managed, her sharp voice uncharacteristically small. "But isn't that a senior role? Don't you need years of—" "I have the years, Auntie," Anna interrupted gently, a small smile playing on her lips. "I just finally decided to show them what I could do. It turns out they were looking for exactly what I have." Her aunt stared at her for a long beat, looking for a flaw, but finding none. She slowly stood up, tucking her phone into her pocket with a tight, defeated nod. I should go call Kiara and tell her," she muttered, her eyes avoiding Anna's as she beat a hasty retreat from the room. Her mother reached across the table and squeezed Anna's hand. The pressure of perfection that had sat between them for years seemed to evaporate in the steam of the tea. "You always had it in you, Anna. I think you just needed to find the people who would help you see it." The digital exorcism. Before heading to the tea shop, Anna stopped at the Velvet Quill one last time. She sat in her usual mahogany chair and pulled out her phone. She scrolled to the thread with Sana. She looked at the last mocking words Sana had sent. "You're just too sensitive, Anna." With a steady thumb, Anna hit delete. She watched the thread vanish into white space. The ghost was finally gone. The final oolong. That afternoon, Anna walked into the Amber Leaf. Maya and Leo were already at their corner booth. "Oh, look. It's the corporate queen herself," Maya announced loudly, doing a mock bow. "Please, lead analyst, tell us humble peasants what it's like to be sought after by the elites." Anna laughed, sliding into the velvet armchair. "Shut up, Maya." "Leo, tell her," Maya nudged him. "Tell her she has to buy our tea for the next 3 years as a success tax." Leo didn't look up from his sugar cubes, but his neck was bare. His noise-canceling headphones were folded neatly on the table, pushed aside like armor he no longer needed. "I already checked the salary ranges," he said, his voice deadpan. "She can afford the tea, the cake, and possibly a better mechanical keyboard for me." Leo finally finished his sugar pyramid and looked Anna in the eye. "I actually hit submit on my own project this morning," he admitted quietly. "The open source one I've been hiding. I figured if you could face the Silver Oak recruiters, I could face a few critics on the internet." Anna didn't just smile. She let out a genuine, loud laugh, leaning over to shake Leo's shoulder. "Leo, that's incredible. We're actually doing it. We're all moving." "Since everyone is announcing big life updates," Maya chimed in, her grin widening. "I have one too. My sister finally got the all clear from the doctors today. She's officially kicked cancers, and is getting discharged next week. Apparently, she got tired of the hospital food and decided she'd rather be home to annoy me. Also, that boutique agency signed my portfolio. So, basically, we're all icons now." "You guys are terrible," Anna said, her heart overflowing. She pulled out the transit passes. "Since I'll be working across town, I wanted to make sure you have no excuses not to visit." Maya looked at the pass, then at Anna. "You really think we'd let you go that easily?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, framed piece of art. It was a minimalist design of a yellow post-it note. On it, in gold calligraphy, was a single word, "Stay." "I kept the original for 3 months," Anna whispered. "I think I'll keep this one forever." Leo looked at the pass, then at his headphones. "I used to think this workspace was just a place to cancel out the world. I didn't realize it was a place to belong. Thanks for not letting me be the only ghost in the corner, Anna." Maya let out a dramatic, exaggerated gasp, clutching her chest as she looked between the two of them. "Oh, so it's a ghost club now," she joked, her eyes dancing with mischief. "I spend 3 months being the only person at this table with a pulse, providing 90% of the personality and 100% of the snacks, and you two ghosts were over here having a secret haunting without me? I'm offended. My haunting rights have been violated." Anna laughed, wiping a stray tear. "You're too loud to be a ghost, Maya." "Exactly," Maya countered, pointing a finger. "I'm the poltergeist. I'm the one who throws things and makes noise, so you two don't accidentally disappear into the mahogany. You're welcome, by the way. Because the next time you try to build a wall," Maya added, her voice softening, "remember that I have a sledgehammer and Leo has your IP address." "Is that a threat or a promise?" Anna joked. "Both," they said in unison. The final frame. As the sun set over the Almswood district, painting the cobblestones in honey and violet, Anna stepped out of the tea shop. She thought about the high school hallway, but the memory didn't hurt. It was just a story about someone she used to be. Before walking toward the bus stop, Anna paused and looked back through the large glass window of the Amber Leaf. Inside, the warm glow of the Edison bulbs illuminated the table. She saw Leo gesturing animatedly with a sugar cube, explaining something to Maya, and Maya throwing her head back in a loud, boisterous laugh that Anna could almost hear through the glass. They weren't ghosts. They were a heartbeat. Anna closed her eyes and listened. The city was loud, the buses hissed, and the crowds talked. But inside Anna, the static was gone. The noise had finally surrendered to the music. It was the sound of a heartbeat. And for the first time in her life, Anna was finally in sync with it.